Hey there, Gemini. Welcome to your reading this is your mid-2026 update. You have this crow spirit, says co-create with spirit. You have this bat spirit, says a rebirth is assured. So it is a good time for you to rebirth something in your life, especially if there's anything that you've always wanted, Gemini, that you don't have yet, or something that you've always dreamed of creating. I would say especially between now and September, whenever you're watching this. Again, this is for the middle of the year to the end of the year. But specifically from now till, September is a good time to kind of try to lock something in before we get to September. And as I've said to other people, it's not like September is a bad time. I just think it would be a good time to lock something in this year, that you want to work on, or a certain level of progress that you want to make. I think it would be a good time to do it. Pretty crazy. You're like the third person to have the tower in the third row. And we'll definitely talk about that when we get to it. But it always surprises me, like when a card basically shows up in the same position as everybody else. Your first row is going to represent the truth about where you are right now. You have the Queen of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, and the Knight of Pentacles. So Queen of Pentacles is pretty good. It can be a card of resourcefulness and like trying to gather your resources. It really wouldn't surprise me, Gemini. I'm recording this on the 23rd, and so this will be published on May 24th. It would not surprise me at all if like all of a sudden, literally like the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th, if before we even get to June, if you all of a sudden start thinking about your resources on a deeper level, like where your money comes from, things to do with your money, how to save more money for the future, all that. Wouldn't surprise me if those themes have come up over the past week or so. And I think this will continue, again, probably for the rest of the year. I think this really just has to do with security. I think it's a good thing, not a bad thing, of course. Uranus is in your sign, of course, but it doesn't really matter where Uranus is when it's in our sign. Whether it's your first house or whatever, depending on when you're born, is what I'm trying to say. I think Uranus kind of triggers us to create more freedom in our life whenever it's in our sign, right? And so I think a lot of you are just thinking about money and thinking about how you can get more freedom with your money. And you could also be thinking about future freedom as well. Like if you don't have a retirement plan or something like that, you could be thinking deeper about that so that you can secure your future. And, a lot of that comes up here. I also do think there's a little bit of a focus on money because you have the Knight of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles as well. The King of Pentacles, of course, would be more of a focus on wealth building, which, like I said, Uranus, whether people realize it or not, definitely has to do with wealth building, kind of, because, again, it wants us to be secure in the future. So there you go. Next, you have the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords can be a never-ending nightmare. I think Gemini's biggest fear this year is mediocrity. I think that Geminis are going to resist things that are just mediocre in the first place. But it wouldn't surprise me also if like a lot of your fears at this time are just like the fear of having an average life, for example. I think that you want that, exceptional life. Or, again, if you see things in your life that are just average, you're probably going to resist it. I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, Gemini, because, the fear of things always being the same might actually be the thing that makes you change, right? And, gets you building something better in your life. But like I said, I think that, over the next few years, that will probably be the thing that kind of chases you. Is that a good energy? I don't know. I think sometimes that when we have something that we feel is at our back, some sort of fear, it can motivate us to make our life better. Of course, I'm, irrationally positive myself, so I think that we shouldn't necessarily look at it that way, if that makes sense. Like, if there's some sort of fear, if you can transmute that fear into something better, and if you can look at it like, okay, I'm just being fearful, I just need to use this energy to, make changes so that I don't get stuck in life. I think that's a better way to look at it. You have the Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles can be slow, steady progress. I actually do feel you're just feeling progress, especially once we get into June here, and even past June, of course, July as well. July is a great month. So I feel a lot of you are going to be focused on making progress, probably focused on investing your time into things that are just really growing, Gemini. And like I said, I think that is a good thing for you. So pretty straightforward first row here. With the Queen of Pentacles, you have the Three of Swords. Yeah, great time to heal, Gemini, before the end of July as well. So if there are any past heartbreaks, and again, specifically your third row, literally on my list here is what you must leave behind before July ends. I specifically felt that in this set of readings that I needed to do something about like what to release or what to let go of by the end of July. We have an eclipse coming up at the end of August. And yeah, I understand that's a month after July, but still, I think that, the last eclipse we had in Virgo really wanted us to release something. And so healing your heart, healing any past heartbreaks, doesn't even have to be a person, right? It could be anything. And the Three of Swords wants us to practice forgiveness. So that could include forgiving yourself for something. That would be a good thing to work on. With the Nine of Swords, you have the Nine of Swords. Yeah, again, it really is a driving force. Again, I want you to look at this positively because, again, I just feel like something is chasing me, like I said earlier in the reading. And again, like if you could add a positive twist to that, I think it would make it more positive, of course. But I also don't really feel like it's a bad thing necessarily. I think if you're using it to fuel future success or something, that would be a good thing, of course. But I also don't get too caught up in worrying about things, right? And, in actually having fear. I think if you just, maybe there's like a little bit of a fear where you're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen in my future. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to accomplish my goals or whatever. I think if you do something about it, that would be positive, right? But if there's something chasing you, you're not doing anything about it, that would be negative. And that's how I feel. With the Knight of Pentacles, you have the Six of Pentacles, slow, steady progress. He is planting seeds for his future, right? He's giving to this person, not this person, because this person returns the favor. So I just feel progress. I feel very good, really, about your first row. Even the Nine of Swords. I don't like the Nine of Swords. To me, the Nine of Swords is the worst card in the tarot. I don't think the Tower is even close. So, I'll say that. But I don't necessarily feel bad about the Nine of Swords here. One thing I will point out is that the Nine of Swords says, you can be the bug or the windshield. There's a person right here in this carving that's hitting the other person. So it says, don't just lay over and die. It says fight back, Gemini. And I feel like maybe that's what that part of the reading is getting at. Next, we're going to look at what is changing behind the scenes this second half of the year. You have this full moon in Gemini. It says the answers you need are coming. You have this fixed moon. It says hold your vision. Definitely a good year for having a vision and staying focused on it. You even have the Ace of Swords coming up in your third row. The Ace of Swords is a laser-like focus. You pick a point, you pick something that you want to accomplish, and you attack it like a starving dog, right? So I think that needs to be your attitude, really, with this reading, is that you're going to pick something that you're going to accomplish over the next 6 months, and that's it, right? And I feel if you have that attitude, good things, of course, will happen. Amazing time for answers, especially between now and, again, like September. I think we are in a time of getting answers. I've been saying to everyone for the past couple weeks that Saturn and Neptune are finally separating away from each other between, June basically and September. So I feel that energy is kind of like opening up. It's kind of taking the blinders off of our eyes. And, we can see out of the corners of our eyes. We can see things that are coming. We can see things that are going, and we can get better answers. So I would definitely take advantage of, June to September. You have the Six of Wands, the Two of Swords, and the Fool. So the Six of Wands can be a victory or big success coming in for you, which is great. All three air signs, I think, have had this card in this set of readings, which kind of makes sense. Again, there's a lot of attention on air energy, and the Six of Wands is a card of attention. So, of course, you, I think, could be getting a lot of attention for your ideas or the things that you're working on in your life. So if there are any victories that you want to have, in any areas of your life, I would really make sure you're getting attention on what you're working on, because that's where the victory will come from. You have the Two of Swords. Again, I've talked to you about this a lot, Gemini. It's like third place solutions. I think almost everyone has had the Two of Swords in this set of readings as well. Again, I think we need to be careful of like this side, that side, especially with things that we're working on. We have Neptune and Aries. The problem with Neptune and Aries, especially now that Saturn is separating away from it, is that it's kind of like dogmatic thinking. We can come up with an idea. We can find a person who even supports our idea, right? But we're only looking at it from that perspective. We have to look at, Uranus and Gemini is all perspectives. And it doesn't say, and the other thing is that we don't necessarily have to be right. We shouldn't necessarily be looking for what we think is right. We should be allowing our inspirations to guide us to the right answer. And if we stay flexible, we'll be fine. Again, it's not something I'm really worried about for Gemini because Gemini is already pretty flexible. And also, again, I think Uranus and Gemini is literally going to open your brain up to all the different perspectives. So I think you'll be fine, but I would just stay flexible. I am kind of getting like a little bit of like do not settle here. She's kind of settling for her own situation here that she's in, and she's not trusting her intuition. She has this blindfold on, and blindfolds in the tarot represent trusting your intuition. Now, normally I consider the Eight of Cups is my card that says do not settle. But I don't know, it's kind of popping into my head with this Two of Swords. Again, she thinks that she only has two choices to make. She thinks that she has to choose between two choices, but she really has a third option that's completely different, right? And so if you're feeling stuck in any area of your life, I would, maybe there's something you're not thinking about, or maybe there's something that you need to tap into your intuition a little bit more about, because maybe it'll just provide a better option. You have the Fool. Yeah, anything worth doing, especially between June and September, is worth really going for. I've talked about this a lot in 2026. I think 2026 is a year where we can't just dip our toes in the water. We can't just try something. We have to go all the way. And so anything worth doing is going to be worth going all the way on, right? With the Six of Wands, you have the Queen of Swords, which you start here and you end with the Queen of Swords. So the Queen of Swords is about gaining clarity. And also you have that card that says the answers you need are coming. So she has clouds only halfway up her body, and she is kind of seeing something clearly. She's getting answers, and she's also my card of being cautiously optimistic. She has her hand up, but she also has her sword up. So if something is happening that she doesn't like, she will cut it off right away. And so this card kind of represents, being open to new opportunities, but if they're not right, cutting them off right away. And it's sorry, I don't know if you can hear the noise, but there's a storm going on right now, so sorry about the noise. With the Two of Swords, you have the Two of Pentacles. Again, juggling, spinning plates, being too busy. I would definitely be careful of your busyness this year, Gemini. I would make sure that you're not... sometimes I think the Two of Pentacles is kind of like being busy as a distraction, where we just are so busy that we're not paying attention to the details. Queen of Swords, Ace of Swords, very focused on the details, right? And so I do feel this is kind of encouraging you to more focus on the details at this time. With the Fool, you have the Knight of Swords. The Fool wants us to take a quick leap of faith. The Knight of Swords doesn't want us to be impulsive, right? And so it's kind of like a tricky energy to deal with right now because we've had so much energy in Aries, which is very impulsive. But the contradiction here is the Fool, because with the Fool, sometimes we have to take an impulsive leap of faith to be successful with the Fool. And so, with the Knight of Swords, it's kind of like saying, don't rush, but at the same time, rush. What I think this is for you, Gemini, is that I think you can move a lot faster in things that you already know, right? So if you're getting an opportunity and it's something that you're educated about, right, for example, there would probably be no problem in you taking leap of faith. If you're getting an opportunity that you don't know a lot about, maybe you just need to slow it down a little bit, research it, and then go from there, over the next 6 months. And that's what I would do with that card. Next, we're going to look at what you have to leave behind before July ends. You have this card that says made the list, ignored the list. It says guilt, avoidance, and shutdown. You have this convincing yourself it's fine. It says denial, emotional suppression. So yes, I think that this is a big thing for the second half of the year, especially like the fourth quarter of the year. Really from like September till the end of the year, kind of. I think that we have to be careful of coming up with a plan and not following through on the plan or overthinking the plan. And again, I will be doing fourth quarter readings, of course, in the future. I'm going to do third quarter readings soon as well, probably in June. But what I would say here is that, definitely for the fourth quarter, I wouldn't like overthink your plans too much. You have the Tower, the King of Pentacles, and the Ace of Swords. Again, the Tower would definitely be about convincing yourself it's fine, right? So these people have been in this tower, and it's been on fire. And now they're being forced out of the tower. So if you're involved in anything over the next half a year that isn't right, sometimes I feel with the tower, it's those moments where we knew that we shouldn't have gotten involved in something, and we knew we should have left a lot sooner, but we didn't. And so, again, I wouldn't worry about this. And again, the towers come up a lot, and we're in a time of global tower moment, so sure. But I would just pay attention. If something doesn't seem right, I would leave. I think that we're in a good year. In business, they say that you should hire slow, fire fast, right? And I think that's how we all should be in the middle of this year until the end of the year, is that opportunities can come in. We should probably research them a little bit and then commit to them. But if something is wrong, we should probably fire it very quickly. And I kind of get that feeling on the tower. You have the King of Pentacles, which, again, I feel pretty good about. Again, we're asking what you should leave behind, like what you should bury before July. And so the King of Pentacles is conventional thinking, and we are obviously in a very unconventional time. As I've been saying to you all year, your weird, wacky, outside the box, eccentric ideas, those are going to be the things that really do very well for you with Uranus in your sign. And so King of Pentacles is the inside the box ideas. It's what everybody's always been doing all along, right? And so I don't feel bad about him in your reading. Actually, I feel really good, even though he's showing up in this row. But at the same time, I think letting go of the conventional is what it's asking you to do. Other than that, I feel very good about you kind of like focusing on long-term wealth building. That could include like saving money, investing money, of course, smart investments, do your research, don't just blindly invest, all that other stuff. But, again, if you're doing things to improve your finances, very, very good time for you specifically, Gemini. You have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is a victory or a success. It's also the truth. And again, Uranus and Gemini is the truth. The problem with the astrology right now is there's the truth and then there's a truth, right? So you might find that you can see the truth, and people in your life might be saying, that's not the truth, right? Even though you know that something is the truth. The trick right now for you, Gemini, is to just live the truth, right? No matter what people are saying to you, no matter who's calling you crazy or any of that stuff, right? Because eventually you'll be proven right in the future, and that will be worth its weight in gold in the future. Because imagine this. Imagine if you just live your life according to your truth, right? And doing things that you know you should be doing with your time. There are going to be people that say, don't do that, don't do this, that's dangerous, all these things, right? But then they're going to see you were right in the future. So in the future, all those people are going to be coming to you for advice, help, whatever, and you should charge accordingly, Gemini, right? So there you go. With the Tower, you have the Knight of Wands. Yeah, I would slow things down a little bit. Again, there is a little bit of that confusing energy with the Knight of Swords and the Fool, because it's like saying slow but fast. Knight of Wands, he can be a little bit impulsive as well. So I'm going to tell you to be careful of like impulsive decisions. I think what this is about is like coming back to center. Knight of Wands, Knight of Swords. It's like this can be someone getting you really excited about something, and then you find out it's not true in the future, right? And so I think that if you have moments over the next 6 months where you get super excited, and it could be good excited, like someone could be getting you excited about an idea or an investment or something like that. I'm not telling you to like rain on the parade, right? But I am telling you to come back to center and like look to really research the things that you're getting excited about. With the King of Pentacles, you have the Four of Wands. You have Four of Wands is freedom. And so pretty much everyone has had the Four of Wands in this set of readings. So we had Uranus and Taurus for a long time. Uranus and Taurus wants us to be free. And so, of course, Uranus and Gemini is rebellion. It's revolution. So I think we're going to see people setting themselves free from prisons in life, right? And that could definitely be a big focus for you, Gemini, where you do things to create more freedom. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Eight of Wands. So Ace of Swords and Eight of Wands can be communication. We have that card that says the answers you need are coming. And so I would be definitely listening to your intuition, the answers you're receiving. Eight of Wands is also like quick success or quick conclusion. So there could be some quick successes coming in as well. Next, we're going to look at the any opportunities that could change the second half of the year for you. You have this Sun card. It says, the sun is coming to shine its light on what's been kept hidden to reveal the truth. You have this divine intelligence. It says, to connect to your higher self, you must first create space to listen. Yeah, amazing time for you to listen to your higher self with all this energy. Especially right now, Mercury and Uranus in your sign, but Uranus for the most part. I would be tapping into that higher genius that is Gemini. It's going to help you the most. And again, with the sun, like I said, the only thing Gemini needs to pay attention to is what is true for you. You have the Queen of Swords, the Four of Pentacles, and the Nine of Cups. Again, Queen of Swords is about seeing the future more clearly. She has clouds only halfway up her body, like I said. So I feel a lot of you, I do feel very optimistic. I feel you are optimistic about the future, will be in the near future. I think that you're starting to believe in your truth more because, again, your truth is going to be what leads to opportunities for you in the first place. Again, this can also represent information coming in. So you have a lot of cards here that would really represent getting information. And, which makes sense because Uranus and Gemini is definitely a major download for you, Gemini. And I would be paying attention. You have the Four of Pentacles. Again, pretty good for financial stability. The Four of Pentacles can represent holding on too tightly to the past, but like I said, just based off your astrology for the rest of the year, if you're doing things like saving money, boring stuff like clipping coupons to save money, if you're looking for deals, all that stuff would actually be really good for Gemini, I feel, for the rest of the year, because not only will you save money, but you'll probably also save money. Like with the money you save, you might invest it, or you might just put it in a bank, or, something like that. And again, I think that could really give you a more solid financial foundation. I think I said this to you earlier in the year, maybe not, I might be making this up, Gemini, but I just feel like the other thing I feel here, just based off of all this, is, again, you might want to have just a little bit of money to the side. I don't think you have to go crazy, but, again, there could be random opportunities that come up for you the rest of the year. And if you don't have the money to take advantage of the opportunity, you're not going to be able to take advantage of it, right? So that's why I think that, just having just a little bit of a nest egg, having a little extra cash just in case, what if someone comes to you and this could be for something fun. It's like maybe a friend's like, hey, I'm going to go take a cruise, or don't go on a freaking cruise this year, apparently, right? But maybe a friend's like, I want to go to Puerto Rico or something like that. It's like, if you don't have the money, you're not going to be able to go. So I think there are opportunities that you could save for now that you don't even know are going to show up, right? You have the Nine of Cups. Nine of Cups is fulfillment or wish fulfillment. So, there could be fulfillment or wish fulfillment coming in for you, which is great. Nine of Cups wants us to bathe in the energy of fulfillment, wants us to be fulfilled. So the more in fulfillment you are, the better. With the Queen of Swords, you have the Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It says when you know that you can do something, that's when you can really do it. So I think the more you can work on your own, believing in yourself, the better. With the Four of Pentacles, you have the Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles can represent feeling left out in the cold. Like I said, I think saving a little bit of money would be a good idea for you. Now the Five of Pentacles to me says do not call attention to your weaknesses. And, really we're looking for the opportunities that you have in the second half of the year. And so the opportunity here would also be saving money, but also would be doubling down on your strengths, right? Like building the things that you're already good at. Focusing on your own strengths would be a good idea. With the Nine of Cups, you have the Moon. Yeah, I definitely feel this for you, Gemini. The Moon is mysteries. It can be fears, fantasies, illusions. But we're looking for opportunities for you to take advantage of in the second half of the year. And the Moon could just be things that are mysterious to you. Things that you want to learn about, mysteries you want to explore. I think all that would be really good, Gemini. We're going to pull 5 main themes from the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. You have this flattery card. Yeah, it could be a little bit of love. Again, I didn't include a love row. I probably should have. But if you want love, sure, I would get out there, meet new people. I really like this card because these two people are facing towards each other. So you could be meeting a person who's kind of on the same wavelength as you, Gemini. You have this Exalted card. Yes, again, this card kind of just says the universe is on your side, really. So... and I definitely feel it is with all the stuff going on for you. You have this Escape card. You have several cards here, Nine of Swords twice, Tower, where you could be wanting to escape from something. The Knight of Swords and the Knight of Wands is not necessarily bad for escapism, like escaping something that has been causing a problem. But I would just be more focused on long-term solutions, right? Like we don't want, we don't want a Band-Aid fix here is what I'm trying to say. So if there's something you're trying to fix in your life, it would be better to focus on a long-term solution. And, that's popping into my head. You have this endurance card. Yeah, this card says you have endurance. You have the power to really accomplish a lot right now, Gemini. And again, we were talking about building your strength with the Five of Pentacles. You have this criticism card. Yes, I've talked to you about this a lot. With Uranus in your sign, I think you're going to experience a lot of jealousy, gossip, criticism. I would just ignore it, Gemini, at all cost. But this looks pretty good, Gemini. I like it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your month.